Thank you for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is William Sila. I'm Linda Ogutu.
I'm Ben Kitili. Welcome to the program. Police in Kwale and their counterparts in Maseno have launched investigations on Maseno School following allegations by a Form 1 student that his seniors sodomized him. The
parents have already withdrawn the student from the school due to trauma. The boy and his family spoke to KTN's John Juma in Kwale, painting a picture of what exactly happened. Take a look.
Call him Siamini, though not his real name. The 15-year-old boy is back in the village Kwale County after withdrawing from Maseno National School, where he was a Form 1 student. He alleges that he was sodomized by 3 unknown students 3 weeks ago on the night of 28th May this year.
Walikuwa wamevaa two long sleeve shirts ambao au ni form 3 ama form 4 ndio wanavaa long sleeve shirts. Kwa amenishika mwili na nifanya kitendo cha kunajisi, lakini sikuweza kuongea.
He says the unknown colleagues covered his mouth and pinned him down to ensure he couldn't scream for help. But I asked him, how could it happen without other students in the cubicle or entire dormitory noticing some commotion?
Labda watu watauliza itakuwaje ufanyiwe kitendo hiki na labda bweni zima lisisikie.
Alikuwa chini yangu, alikuwa yuko na kulikuwa na several people pia walikuwa huko shuleni.
Ulipotanabahi uligundua kwamba ni kitendo kamili kimefanyika ama ilikuwa ni ndoto?
Ilikuwa ni kitendo kimefanyika.
His mother says she traveled to Maseno School and discussed the matter with the school principal, his deputies and few other teachers, seeking to know who did it and why, but all in vain.
Walijifanya hawajui, walisema ni mapepo na kisha alikuwa ameshachukua hatua ya kwamba wambadilishie dormitory. Sasa ninashindwa ni kwa nini walimbadilishia dormitory. Unaona? Walimu
nilipoelezea alisema watanibadilishia dormitory, teka askari wa kuzunguka kwa dormitory. Mimi nilikuwa naona hiyo hata haikutosha.
Since the student was too traumatized to study in the same environment, the mother requested he be withdrawn from Maseno School. They later took the boy to Kwale Hospital for medical examinations, where the medic suggested he undergoes some trauma counseling and other tests, including HIV test. They have so far recorded a statement with the police over the matter.
Kuzembea kwa shule yenyewe, otherwise kama walikuwa serious mambo kama hayo yasingetokea.
Tunasikia uchungu. Tungelitaka tujue yule aliyefanya hivyo, jambo la kwanza. Yachukuliwe hatua ambayo inawezekana. Sheria ambayo inaweza kumjua kwamba ni tendo ambalo si la sawa.
Our efforts to seek clarification over the allegations from Maseno School principal were fruitless when he terminated our phone conversation the moment the matter was raised. There's a story we were seeking clarification from you. Yeah. On one student who was there, but the parent withdrew him from school. Yeah. He had some allegations of some defilement which happened to him while in school. The allegations come at a time when Teachers Service Commission has raised concern over the increased sex abuse of children in schools. In April, TSC interdicted over 200 teachers on allegations of directly or indirectly condoning the vice in schools. The Kenya Secondary School Head Teachers Association Chairman John Awiti said they will not defend such teachers.
And we are not protecting anybody in that nature because we are the custodian of children at school. We are the parent at the school level.
The victim's mother is hopeful that the police will find the students who molested her son that fateful night. John Juma, KTN Prime, Kwale County.
Let's stay with education matters, shall we? And Kenya's reading culture has improved by only 1% in the last 1 year, with 1 out of 10 pupils in Class 8 unable to tackle Class 1 arithmetic. That is according to the annual Learning Assessment Report. The report lists Nyeri as the leading county in learning outcomes, with Tana River County recording the worst performance.
The report, titled "Are Our Children Learning?" assessed basic literacy and numeracy capabilities of pupils based on a Class 2 curriculum. Over 135,000 children aged between 6 to 16 years from the country's 47 counties were tested. The findings paint a grim picture. 4 out of 100 Class 8 pupils cannot read a Class 2 Swahili story. 2 out of 10 Class 4 pupils cannot read a Swahili word. When it comes to English, 4 out of 100 pupils in Class 8 cannot read a Class 2 English story, while 2 out of 10 pupils in Class 3 cannot read an English word. In mathematics, 1 in 10 or 10% of Class 8 pupils cannot solve a Class 2 division. In Class 3, 1 in 10 pupils cannot recognize numbers between 11 and 99.
The arid north of Kenya is where a majority of the children who are out of school are found. And then the informal settlements in our urban areas.
The teacher-pupil ratio, according to the report, impacts on the performance of pupils. Nyeri, Kajiado, Nairobi, Kiambu and Kirinyaga top the list of counties in terms of learning outcomes. Mandera, Samburu, Turkana, Busia and Tana River are the 5 worst performing counties.
That children from poor households have lower learning levels than those from non-poor households. And this could be a challenge to the government and to all the stakeholders in education, because education for a very long time has been the only tool, the only open path out of poverty. So if children from poor households start to perform so badly, then that will become a vicious cycle.
According to the report, learning levels are almost static. Gender disparities are yet to be dealt with, and the number of children out of school is increasing by the day.
Isn't it time we had annual dialogue, national consultative meetings, where we all meet and ask questions about what is ailing our education system and how we can all together contribute to making a difference.
But it is not all doom and gloom. More children aged between 3 and 5 years are enrolling in preschool. The report, which was released by Uwezo, is calling for bold measures to improve the literacy and numeracy skills for pupils and is proposing, among other things, a shift in focus from exams and mean scores to acquisition of foundation skills. Rita Tinina, KTN.
Worrying findings there, I must say, and that story by Rita Tinina is the basis of our big question tonight. We are asking you, what do you think is to blame for the poor learning in public schools?
Indeed, it's a real concern, especially for parents. Join the conversation. SMS your opinion to 22155. You can tweet us at Ben_Kitili, at Linda Ogutu, and at KTN Kenya. She'll be sampling some of your views during this live newscast.
Indeed, we'd love to know what you think, especially for those of you who are parents. Let's now focus on the war on terror. Al-Qaeda's second highest commander, Nasir al-Wuyashi, has been killed. The global terror outfit announced that Wuyashi was killed by a drone attack in Yemen. KTN senior reporter Asha Mwilu now explains why this news is making headlines around the world.
After Kenyan soldiers killed key Al-Shabaab operatives in Lamu, including the infamous British radical Thomas Evans, or Abdul Hakim as he was also known, global officials are celebrating yet another counter-terrorism success. A success that is the reported death of Al-Qaeda's leader in Yemen, Nasir al-Wuyashi. Even though Pentagon is yet to confirm anything, global security sources say that Wuyashi, Al-Qaeda's powerful military leader, was killed in a drone attack in Yemen. The soft-spoken Wuyashi, who has appeared on many online recruitment videos, was a top target for the US. Even though an official confirmation is pending, Yemeni officials verified that a US drone attack had killed 3 suspected militants in the Al-Qaeda-held port city of Mukalla. The powerful Yemeni affiliate of what US considered the most dangerous terror outfit also released a video statement dated June 14th, where a senior operative announced the death of al-Wuyashi. His deputy, Qasim al-Raimi, is said to be the likely pick as his successor. Al-Wuyashi's death is seen as the greatest milestone in counter-terrorism since the Al-Qaeda chief Osama bin Laden was killed in 2011. But the US is still under threat, with the group's chief bomb maker and the plotter of the underwear bomb, Ibrahim al-Assiri, believed to still be on the run. Asha Mwilu, KTN.
Let's now take you down to the coast where details are now emerging on one man, a Kenyan, believed to have led the attacks in Peketoni where over 70 people were killed. Lukman Osman was killed in an attack at a military base in Lamu on Sunday, has been identified as a chief Al-Shabaab leader for the coast region. KTN spoke to his brother who says Luke was a good brother, but something went wrong along the way.
Lukman kusema kweli ni ndugu yangu mdogo ambao tulikuwa naye humu Mombasa, lakini baada ya muda alikuwa na sisi na alifanya kama kuondoka ghafla na tukujua alipata safari ya ghafla, ndo baada hapo ndo tulikuja kujua kwamba aliondoka akaenda mahali pengine tofauti ambao ni nchi jirani ya Somalia. Tangu aondoke sahi ni tangu 2009, aliondoka 2009. Baada hapo alipiga simu mara 2-3 na tukamwambia bana, tafadhali kama umeamua kuwa na hao jamaa wewe endelea tu na maisha yako huko, na sisi tafadhali tuache na amani na sisi pia tuendelee na maisha yetu, yani tusifurugane yani. Naam. Tangu aondoke sahi ni tangu 2009, aliondoka 2009. Yeye kusema kweli ni alisoma hapa primary na secondary pia akasoma hapa Mombasa, na alienda akasoma Uganda University, na ni mtu amesoma university paka yuko na degree. Alikuwa ni kijana mtezi tu, anaendelea na masomo yake, umenifahamu, yani alikuwa hana shida na mtu, alikuwa anacheza mpira, umenifahamu. Mara ghafla bin Pu yani alituacha akatuondoka, yani kwamba kuna watu wanaendesha radicalization ndani ya miji huku, na hata pia mnajua kama serikali wanajua ni watu wengi sana wamekuwa radicalized, si kwamba ni Lukman peke yake, yani kuna familia nyingi vijana wao wamekuwa radicalized na watu kadhaa, yani sasa ndio hiyo ndio imeleta shida, yani kufanya kuwachangia paka wao kuhama na kwenda mahali pengine. Naam. Na siku ile Lukman alipoamua kuondoka hajajulisha mtu yoyote wa nyumbani kwamba yuko na safari ama kitu chochote. Yeye mwenyewe aliamua na kuondoka, umenifahamu. Na baada ya kuondoka serikali ilisema kama mtu yote ambao mtu wake ambaye amekosekana ajitambulishe. Na sisi pia tulienda tukajitambulisha kwa county commissioner Bwana Marwa kwamba hatuna matatizo yote na hii serikali na tunaisupport hii serikali, na hata tulikuwa ndani ya hii serikali kabisa.
Linked to that story, one of the 2 Kenya Defence Forces soldiers who was killed during the fierce battle with Al-Shabaab on Sunday morning will be laid to rest on Friday. Mercy Kandia visited the family in Kaptilit village, where the family is calling upon the government to support families of fallen soldiers. Here's that story.
She gets into deep thought as she tries to comprehend the death of her husband. Jen Kibet is also trying to contemplate her next move because her husband, 38-year-old Ramadan Kibet, was the breadwinner, not only to the mother of 4 but to the entire Kaptilit family.
Walikuwa wanasoma private school. Walikuwa ana provide kabisa watoto wake. Na mimi sina kazi, tulikuwa tunategemea na wazazi hata nao walikuwa wanategemea. Sasa sijui penye nitaanzia na penye nitamalizia.
The late Kibet was felled by Al-Shabaab bullets during a botched raid on Lamu military camp on Sunday. At his Kaptilit home situated at the boundary of Elgeyo Marakwet and Uasin Gishu counties, his family is still in shock as they gather to arrange for the burial scheduled for Friday this week.
Sawa, watu tukauliza mnaweza kutusaidia kwa maneno ya burial, akatuambia tu maneno ya transportation na labda tu coffee.
Najiuliza kweli serikali ya Kenya waangalie upya maslahi ya askari ambaye nachunga nchi hii.
They learned of the death via radio before the military team confirmed their worst fears yesterday when they visited.
Maneno ya county kama ingewezekana, kama kuna sehemu yenye wanaweza hata kunipea mimi kazi hapo waniweke mahali ndio niweze hata naye kuchukua hiyo jukumu ili niweze nisaidie watoto na wazazi.
It is a loss to a family and to a village that says they held several fundraisers to support the slain soldiers' education. A young man whose life was cut short, one whose impact to this family was felt immediately. Jen says she hopes to find a job. Her 4 young children have to continue with their education. Marcy Kandie for KTN.
In other news, youth from warring communities in the North Rift will deliberately be enrolled into the National Youth Service to address security challenges in the region. Speaking during their security meeting at his current residence, Deputy President William Ruto said creating opportunities was among measures lined up by the government to solve problems facing young people. In attendance were members of Parliament, County Security Commanders, Interior Secretary Joseph Nkaiseri, and Inspector General of Police Joseph Boynet. This was the second meeting of leaders from Baringo, Samburu, Turkana, West Pokot as well as Laikipia counties. On their part, the leaders asked the government to fast-track an audit of the National Police Service to remove what they termed as bad elements, especially those engaging in criminal activities.
The warriors also to be engaged in this NYS program, you know. And what I will tell the DG is that in the process, you know, we should bring some of these people, which they should be candidate for recruitment eventually, you know, into your next recruitment cycle, which I think is going to happen somewhere in October, November. So if we can engage them in the next 3 months and then eventually recruit them into the NYS and train them, it will be a very good exercise, right? And I think we can actually do a bit of affirmative action for these areas. You know, we take more young people from those areas.
All right, let's get some good news now. For the first time ever in Wajir County, some residents of Wajir town will enjoy using a tarmac road. This follows the completion of a 28-kilometer tarmac road that was under construction since September 2014. Now, if you're wondering why this is a big deal, well, this is the first time ever tarmac road in the county will be constructed, has been constructed since Kenya gained her independence. Wajir Governor Ahmed Abdullahi, court leaders Raila Odinga and Kalonzo Musyoka were the guests at the opening ceremony. They lauded efforts by the county government to construct the road that will ease transportation and steer development in the region.
Msingi ya maendeleo na kumaliza dhuluma ya kihistoria katika taifa letu ni kuona kama ugatuzi inafanya kazi.
Report kama senator, let the truth be said. Nimeona report za CRA wanasema best model katika mambo mingi. Nimeona report nyingi sana that will assess the evolution. Healthcare system wanasema Wajir is a good model.
You're watching KTN Prime. Many thanks for staying with us. Now, the annual learning assessment report paints a grim picture of learning in public schools. And on the big question tonight, we're asking you, what do you think is to blame for the poor learning in public schools? Victor Odhiambo says the free primary education is to blame. There has never been any proper logistical frameworks for it to be implemented.
Imali says absence of a monitoring and evaluation plan that would measure progress.
Svets on Twitter says parents, government have left all the burden on ill-equipped teachers.
Moses Omondi says our education does not stress on critical thinking, reflective learning, people-centered strategies and competencies.
And Iwangu Collins finally tweets overpopulation of classes due to FBE is making the teacher-pupil contact ratio impossible, hence the poor results.
Indeed, so let us know what you think about that big question. Who or what is to blame for the poor learning in public schools? Remember, we'll keep sampling your views during this bulletin. Thank you for staying with us. We're taking a short break. We have more news coming your way in a bit. Many thanks for staying with KTN Prime.
Let's take you to Parliament now. The Parliamentary Health Committee has faulted the Ministry of Health regarding the acquisition of crucial health facilities.
A week after the Council of Governors bowed to pressure and agreed to sign the 38 billion medical equipment leasing deal, the committee revealed that the government is also servicing a parallel 3.2 billion deal for the purchase of high-end medical equipment for supply to the counties. Sharon Momanyi has the details.
Parliament.
Appearing before the National Assembly Health Committee, Health Principal Secretary Khadija Kasachon had to answer to questions regarding the contract signed between the Kenyan government and a Chinese company for the supply of diagnostic equipment at a cost the MPs claimed was grossly exaggerated.
We are spending an extra 3.3 billion in excess on equipment. And in our budget for 15-16, it still has purchase of equipment. What is it about equipment when we are not handling preventive health care?
What has been happening surely? Because Kenyans are dying out there. We are trying to make all the efforts to make sure that they are whatever. There's something very fishy on this issue of MRIs. And it's not coming out clearly from your side.
Yes, some of the MRIs have already arrived, and others are in the process of coming. Yeah. So in the contract, the Kenya government was to give the counterpart funding. This has been going on from the time that they tell us from NPS.
After a long push and pull between the governors and the national government over the medical equipment leasing deal, it is not clear how informed the governors are on the deal signed with the Chinese company in 2012.
Some governors have stated very clearly they won't sign. Some have said they have signed. How many governors have signed on this project, please?
Over 30 governors have already signed. We will give you the exact number at the time of writing the report. Most of them have will say they will sign, but we have sent the MOU to all of them.
We can't move ahead if we don't have any information, Chair. And I think that since the PS doesn't seem to know what is going on in the ministry, we better not even conduct this business.
Further questions also arose on why the government decided to purchase the equipment from a Chinese company instead of European companies that have more experience in the manufacture of such equipment.
I don't know how that policy came about, that now we should buy the high-end, which the world over, when it comes to managed equipment service, is the high-end equipment because of the high cost. So people avoid that high cost and instead lease it. While for us here, we choose to buy the high cost and lease the low cost. It's not making sense at all.
The committee also probed the dysfunctional Ebola screening machines at the Namanga and Busia borders. Sharon Momanyi, KTN.
So Muslims all over the world are getting ready to fast in the holy month that comes once a year. Najma Ismail tells us some of the misconceptions of the holy month.
Is Ramadan all about eating from dusk to dawn? Is fasting only about staying away from food? Take a look.
The holy month of Ramadan is almost here. And as expected, the markets are full. Many Muslims are stocking up on food. However, this is not what Ramadan is all about. Fasting is supposed to be a spiritual experience. As a fasting person feels hungry throughout the day, it enables the person understand and appreciate what the less fortunate who have nothing to eat or drink feel every day of their lives. This should motivate the fasting person to become more generous with the less fortunate.
Contrary to Islamic teachings, many people find themselves engaging more on food preparations rather than the actual worship that is recommended during the holy month of Ramadan.
Ramadan for some people is all about the feast in the evening hours. However, scholars are urging Muslims to follow the correct way of fasting and make the month of Ramadan a waste-free experience.
Imekuwa Ramadhani ndio mashopping ya kula kwa wingi, kama ambayo kutakuja na gharka, watu wanajaza kwenye masto vyakula, na kuwa budget ya Ramadhani na kuwa mzito zaidi. Hakika hii ni makosa na ni israfu na mambo ambayo Mwenyezi Mungu hayapendi.
Watu wasifuturu na meza imejaa na jirani ana njaa. Hiyo ndio shida. That is very serious. Kwa sababu makusudio ya Ramadhani ni kumpa yule ambaye hajabahatika, yule ambaye hana. Hata ukapata sahani moja inatosha, lakini kula na sahani 10 ni mbaya sana.
Ramadan is not just about abstaining from food and drink. Those who fast are expected to abstain from other pleasures, like married couples suspending conjugal activities from dawn to dusk. Removing these comforts from daily routine is intended to focus the mind on prayer and spirituality. Muslims are also expected to abstain from impurities such as gossip and cursing. Najma Ismail, KTN Prime.
Well, now you know. All the best to our Muslim brothers and sisters all across the country. Let's now take a look at other stories making headlines from across the counties.
Villagers from Chechelesi, Tuleroba, Bulapesa, Kambigaba and Olebule villages in Isiolo have for months struggled with bedbug infestation. The invasion of the blood-sucking insect has caused them sleepless nights. The menace is so severe that families have had to make some tough choices, some even opting to burn part of their properties to fight the virus. But some residents believe that the bugs are God-sent and that poor hygiene is not a contributing factor.
Some of the precautions we say we've actually notified some of the community members we met today is that because we've started this exercise late in the evening, so before they actually can access their houses, they'll have to let the chemicals be sprayed.
Elsewhere, Deputy President William Ruto has lashed out at the opposition for restraining leaders elected on CORD-affiliated parties from working with the Jubilee government. Speaking at Machakos Girls High School during the celebration to mark 100 years since it was founded, Ruto maintained the constitution allows the national government and the county governments to work hand in hand for development. In Nairobi, National Transport and Safety Authority held its first passing out parade. 35 road safety enforcement officers graduated after a rigorous training carried out by the Administration Police Training College in Embakasi. The officers will be spread out across the country to help fight speeding, reckless and dangerous driving, among others. And finally, as the world commemorates the International Day for the African Child, Kenya students from various parts of the country made their way to the Supreme Court to mark the event. They expressed their gratitude to the judiciary for a ruling made 2 weeks ago aimed at keeping children safe from sexual violence in schools by guaranteeing them right to health, dignity and education.
We have sworn as judges to make sure that the rights of Kenyans, including the rights of children, are promoted and protected.
The education of the girl child is a fundamental development principle, and for especially a country like Kenya, having equal access to education for the girl child is very important.
This was in accordance with this year's theme, which is hastening collective efforts to end child marriage in Africa. Mumbwa Mwoki for KTN.
Time for business. I'm Joy Doreen Bira. Managing runaway interest rates and taming inflation will be the top 2 priorities for the nominated CBK governor and his deputy should they be approved by Parliament. The nominees appeared before Parliament's Finance, Planning and Trade Committee today and said they would be seeking lasting solutions to the perennial problems that seem to have been a bridge too far to cross for previous governors. KTN's Adelaide Changole kicks off tonight's business.
It has become the norm for Kenyan banks to post market-breaking returns every year. According to the central bank, Kenyan banks posted a cumulative total of 141 billion shillings in pre-tax profit last year, driven by increased borrowing, commissions and earnings from foreign exchange trading.
Banks have been making a lot of profits. The return of return on equity is quite large. It's in the 20%, 28% actually.
But while banks have been raking in billions, the depositors of these funds have had to make do with a tiny fraction of those returns as banks capitalize the interest rate spread to reap maximum returns, a fact the nominated governor of the central bank says is worrisome.
The interest rate spreads are large, very large even by international standards.
High interest rates continue to bedevil the country, which has been seen as an impediment to accelerated economic growth.
The banks have total control of the funding in Kenya, and there is a tendency for them to exhibit what I would call dominant behavior.
And while these have remained an insurmountable challenge for subsequent governors, it is a key focus for the team that has been nominated to head Kenya's top monetary organ. To start with, the proposed deputy governor wants a bigger breadth and diversity of players to come into the market to offer different products and break the strangleholds banks have on the economy.
Make sure that the funds that are generated in Kenya are put into different buckets, and so nobody has complete control to dominate what is happening in the market.
To deal with perceived risk that is priced into loans, the proposed governor says he will be making management of inflation his #1 priority.
It is actually eating into the sort of, let's say, the approaches that commercial banks and other investors take, because they feel that they need to have very high returns because they are unsure where the inflation is going.
The two, alongside the proposed chairman of the CBK, Mohamed Nyaoga, was speaking before Parliament's Finance, Planning and Trade Committee. The committee will debate their findings and table their resolution for a vote on the floor of the House. Adelaide Chongole, KTN Business.
Western Kenya Sugar Company is set to introduce a new variety of sugarcane as it seeks to improve its sugar production, partnering with Indian farm AGSRI to grow the new cane, which matures in 12 months compared to the 15 to 20 months it takes the current other cane varieties. This is expected to lower the company's production costs, making it possible to compete with other sugar-producing countries. KTN's Dorcas Wangira with that report.
Sugar production in the country has for years been viewed as an expensive, let alone unsustainable practice. Due to these challenges, coupled with lack of new investment in technology, especially by public sugar companies, the industry has taken a beating, with outright collapse looking like a reality. Western Kenya Sugar Company, which operates under the Kabras Sugar brand, is hoping use of new farming techniques will turn around its fortunes. As is, the cost of cane production in Kenya is 2 times more than other COMESA countries. It's not just the high harvesting and transport costs, but over-reliance on smallholders, rain-fed agriculture, and the long growing cycles in the country that are a challenge. In Kenya, the cane cycle is 15 to 20 months compared to 10 to 12 months in other countries with lower altitude.
Tunakaanga muda mrefu, miezi 25, miezi 27, miezi 28 ndio unapata pesa.
Kabras Sugar has partnered with the Indian farm AGSRI to introduce new sugarcane farming technology to the region that could change the sector's fortunes. The Sustainable Sugar Initiative, dubbed SSI, is a farm-based methodology that enables the seed cane to mature early and increase yields. Ordinarily, this is what you'd plant when growing sugarcane, but with the new SSI technology, you just plant the bud of the plant.
Tunatoa tu chicho, the eye, na ile chicho ambayo tunaitoa ipanda.
Chipping the buds, the balanced cane, full cane, debutted cane, we are supplying to factory.
Hii mbinu mpya nataka faida yangu ipande ifike shilingi 1200.
Dorcas Wangira, KTN, Kakamega.
Competition on the card payment platform is set to hot up, with Verve International, a Pan-African company, announcing plans to launch operations in the Kenyan market. Verve will be sinking in $5 million as it plans to roll out both debit and credit cards by early September. The cards will be hosted on the payment group platform, and KTN's Abi Agina spoke to the firm's chief executive Charles Ifedi about setting shop in Kenya.
Card payment solutions have been gaining traction in the Kenyan market, even as consumer spending keeps on the upward trend. Banks are among those that have been rushing to cash in on the growing allure for people to spend by issuing customers with payment cards to enhance their shopping experience. It is this that has perhaps lured Vav International to battle for a slice of the Kenyan cake in the Kenyan market.
There's a significant gap for card services for people in the mid-market stroke mass market. So that's the focus we've been doing across Africa.
Their entry could spark off a major customer war with existing players such as MasterCard and Visa, who have enjoyed unchallenged dominance in the Kenyan market.
We know that more than 90% of Africans don't ever travel outside of their own home country. So because of that, we believe that creating a card that will meet 100%, well, of the 90% of the Africans that don't go anywhere will meet those requirements.
Card payments in Kenya have been experiencing major realignments following the ongoing migration from magnetic stripe cards to the high-security anti-scheme EMV chip technology, which presents an opportunity for new players to tap in.
Because of the extensive infrastructure that we have, we will deploy in this market. We'll make sure things like bill payments that people already experience on mobile phones are available on ATMs, are available on the internet. School fees payments will make them available on the internet. So a lot of convenience will be introduced with the Verve cards.
Last year, Kenya became the third African nation after Nigeria and South Africa to transition from the magnetic stripe cards, placing the country at par with advanced countries. Verve card will be the third card brand in Kenya after Visa and MasterCard with the chip technology. Abi Agina, KTN Business.
Thanks, Abby, for that story. We'll now take a look at how the Kenyan shilling is faring against other currencies and also a look at how the stock markets fared at the NSE today. And that's it for KTN Business tonight. My name is Joy Doreen Bira. For more business, do log on to our website, standardmedia.co.ke. Lynn Washira is up next with all the sporting action.
And moving on, Africa Youth 3,000 meters champion Emily Chebet reigned supreme as the Athletics Kenya national trials for the World Youth Championships that started at the Nyayo National Stadium today. That was the only final event of the day, and the Form 3 student at the Saramek Secondary School in Kericho County produced a final kick that left her competitors gasping for breath. She won in 9 minutes 8.8 seconds. Her schoolmate Sheila Chelangat was second in 9 minutes 11.5 seconds. Richard Yator won his heat in the boys' equivalent ahead of Edward Rono. Homeless street soccer might be a new sport to a number of people in the country. However, Kenya participated in the first Homeless World Cup held in Cape Town, South Africa in 2006, winning the Premier Cup. After 3 years of suspension, the team that is struggling to prepare to represent the country in the Homeless Street Soccer World Cup in September promises good results.
After 3 years of suspension from international participation at any homeless street soccer competition, the Kenya homeless street soccer team has been tipped to return to the showpiece with a bang. In 2011, the national homeless street soccer team was dealt with a blow after the participation at the France World Cup was punished after 6 players ran out of their France-based camp and failed to return home after that extravaganza.
Vijana kupotea imekuwa ni changamoto sana na imetukost sana kama organization juu wakati vijana wanaenda wanatoroka, inamaanisha sheria ile inafuata huko mnabaniwa.
The motivation is play and more playtime, something that has aided a good number of them to ditch bad vices in the Kenyan slums.
At least kukuja hapa grao, utakuja hapa utaspend time mob, ukienda home, utafanya shughuli zako then ulale. So utajiengage kwa vitu mbaya.
Kiangalia huko mtaani, mademu wengi wamepitia situation mob, kiangalia machali huko hivyo wameingilia rende mbaya, and of which unaona inaharibu our future, our young talent.
That has however not dampened the spirit of the new crop of players from different slums in Kenya, currently sharpening their arsenal in readiness for the Homeless Street Soccer World Cup in Holland.
Hata ukicheki pia chuo ilikuwa shida, dozi kwa garbage, kwa chini ya kibanda. But in all, lift ball yenyewe imenijenga. Hii street soccer ndio imenifikisha pia niko hapo.
Tunajitolea sisi kama wachezaji na kama plateau wengine pia, lakini gava imejitenga, imejiputa side.
The Homeless Street Soccer World Cup is scheduled between 19th and 29th September this year, and Kenya will be represented by 18 players, 8 men and 8 female, who are eager to sparkle. Moses Wahisi, KTN Sports.
And that's how we wrap up tonight's edition of KTN Sports. Do join me tomorrow for another comprehensive bulletin. I'm Lynn Wajir. Do have a good night and keep it KTN.
KTN Weather in association with More Team Do.
Mama has Mortein Doom, which makes mosquitoes go away and not come back the whole night. So you get a peaceful night's sleep all night long.
Mortein Doom. A peaceful night is a Mortein Doom night.
Right, so who is to blame for the poor learning in public schools? That was our big question tonight, of course, focusing on that report that was released today.
And a lot of feedback from you. Luango Collins tweets and says the performance is so dismal due to the abolishing of repeating. If you cannot read, why be promoted?
Wekesa Essie says, I will blame the government. A class cannot have 90 pupils with only one teacher per subject.
The problems of the public school child starts at ECD, which has been totally neglected by the government, says Kennedy Abulala.
There's someone here who uses Eagles of Allah and honestly have no idea why you're pointing fingers at girls with this one. Says girls are not extending a helping hand to boys in homework. Really?
That is because girls are performing better than girls in school. And finally, Paul Mwani says the Secretary of Education should employ more teachers. The current ratio of 1 to 100 is way below the what is supposed to be, that is 1 to 35.
Finally, Wasabi says people are busy chasing careers and don't have time to check their kids' studies.
Thank you for your tweets and your SMSs, for your discussion, for you joining the discussion. Many thanks for joining us on KTN Prime. I'm Ben Kitili. Good night.
We'll see you tomorrow. I'm Linda Ogutu.